How are we doing, YouTube? It is Cosmos here, bringing you some Smite-terrific content, Smite 1, and today we will be talking about Joust, specifically ranked Joust, possibly some competitive Joust in the mindset as well, but mainly some ranked Joust, and we're going to be talking about Warriors. Warriors, the class that most people know me for, and I just recently got Master's Borders on every single warrior in the ranked Joust game mode, as well as currently we are the #1 Grandmaster in the game mode. So, we know some things. But if you guys do want to make sure that I'm telling the truth here, I'll go to my own profile here, look up the warrior class, and we scroll through all these beautiful purple borders. Isn't that wonderful? And we did add up the win ratio for you guys, just so you are aware of the absolute domination we have been employing upon the ranked scene in the warrior class. Recently, we are 835 wins on warriors. How many losses, you guess? 40. 835 and 40. Win rate of 95.43% when we are on the warrior class. Looking pretty good. I think the overall win rate is like 92, 93% as well through like all the classes. But yeah, a whole lot of warrior games. A whole lot of awesome times. Someone was asking if I feel like all losses were winnable. Most of them. Yeah. Maybe not all of them, but most of them. Yeah. But I digress. Let's get to the meat of the video. Everybody loves a good slab of meat. We're going to be talking about tier list stuff, like I said, specifically warriors only. This is going to be warriors specific. I'm sure I will do a tier list update. We have done tier lists in the past for all the gods, but this is going to be warriors specifically. And you guys will know that I am very invested and know that I know what I'm talking about, seeing as we do have that 20 Master Border accomplishment. And so I played all these warriors a good amount, got a very good idea of where they all belong. And instead of doing the typical like SS, S, A, B, C, blah, 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 we're just going to talk about warriors in very particular categories here that are less about like how strong they are in comparison to the rest of the cast and more about their strength in relation to each other based on my experiences in ranked Joust. Getting all these master sporters. We've done a lot of duo queuing, we've done a lot of solo queuing, we've done a good bit of trio queuing, but it's mostly been duo queue and solo queue. Mainly duo queue, but a good amount of solo queue. So keep in mind that influence, that point of view when we are making this tier list. So let's get right into it. We've delayed long enough. Let's go with our good friend Achilles. Achilles. Over the course of this god in ranked Joust, a lot of people have said this is like the best god. A lot of people have said you should ban this god. If you're in gold, you probably still are banning this god. But my Achilles experience is this god is middle of the pack. He's good. He's fine. Decent god. But he's just not that guy anymore, chat. Really just not that guy. If you are reaching higher levels of gameplay, you will quickly find out this god gets outshined by a lot of the other warriors in the class. He's got decent damage. His early game is very strong. He's incredibly tanky. That's his main thing. But he just doesn't kill things as well. Especially with how hard buffs scale in the late game now, like the purple buff and the red buff. They just get so tanky. And especially if you go Warrior's Axe, like you just cannot clear anything. Also, your fight is very linear. You're either executing somebody and winning the game, or you're not executing somebody and you lost. So, like they buy Aegis, they pick gods that can escape your execute easily. They have heals for your poke. Like, it gets real rough real fast. If you pick a mage-based comp with an Achilles, like a warrior guardian and a mage, like, you are never killing the bull demon, you know? like especially with the Bull Demon changes to Joust, that thing is a raid boss. It is impossible to kill the stupid Bull Demon without consistent auto attack damage. That thing is too tanky. All right, it sucks. We hate the Bull Demon. We need reverts. We hate that guy so much. But that is the state of the Joust we play in. And Achilles, unfortunately, it's just he's just okay now. He's just decent, you know. Moving on, Amaterasu. What a switch up. So this god was already very good, and then she got buffed. She got a 10-second base cooldown mirror. Heals for 55 a tick on her 1. 4 ticks, I do believe. 220 heal on that sucker. And she has one of the best passives. She can kill Bull Demon alone. She is just broken. I think Amaterasu, especially at higher levels and definitely in comp, is one of, if not the strongest warriors in the game. Heck, yeah. I would go as far to say in the game. But in Joust, definitely. This god is highest of priority when it comes to the warrior class. Insane objective pressure. You remember that thing I was talking about with the Bull Demon, how Achilles can't kill it? Yeah, this god definitely can. She can secure buffs very easily. Insane secure. One of the best warrior secure abilities in her 2. Heavenly Reflection, is that what it's called? Sounds right. Let me look. Amaterasu. I must know. Heavenly Reflection. That is indeed what it is called. And her passive, Illuminating Strike, once she gets 3 basic attacks out on a singular target, non-objective, well, non-tower, non-phoenix. Like hits a minion 3 times, to God 3 times, hits the Bull Demon 3 times, hits a buff 3 times. They illuminate an aura that allows you and anyone else on your team to deal 10% extra damage. So she's just insane. Like, you basically just get double sundered when Ama applies her passive to you. And not only do you get double sundered, but she applies it to everyone around you too. And she can apply that to 3 different people at the same time. You really could theoretically have 30% increased extra damage against a single target with Ama passive. Never really going to happen realistically, but that's pretty insane to think about. And this character is just, she's so fast, so good in the team fight. And in a game mode where everyone's clustered together, it's a 3v3, right? Very, very effective. Just does everything you want. Clears the buffs. PC immunity. Kills the people. Great team fight. Kills the Bull Demon. Check. Amaterasu. Incredible god. Bellona. I like to think of Bellona as budget Amaterasu. He does everything that Ama does, but worse. That's how I think of her. Through all these Masters Border games, that is definitely what I've arrived at. But where am I going to put her? Well, she's definitely worse than Ama. But she's better than Achilles. If I could, I would put her on the middle ground between strong and fine. But being that I have to make a choice, I'm going to opt to put her fine. Above Achilles. So Ama, super fast. Bellona, super fast. Conditionally, with her passive. Ama, really great healing. Bellona, okay healing. Ama, insane teamfight tools. Bellona, decent teamfight tools. Ama kills the Bull Demon very fast, allows her team to kill it very fast as well. Bellona kills the Bull Demon pretty fast, can do it alone. Ama, 15% damage mitigation. Bellona, passive protections. And protections on her ult, actually. Yeah. Ama, 70-second ult. Bellona, 90. She really is just a worse Ama, bro. The only thing that Bellona has is the block stacks and the disarm, which are quite good for anti-ADC stuff. And the best thing to stop an ADC from killing you is to have them not hit you, so. Yeah, Bellona's very good at that. But she's just not as flexible as a character in comparison to Ama. But she does like all the same things worse. So she's a good character. I actually really enjoyed the Bellona solo queue grind, because she actually is capable of carrying the game alone. But like I said, she's just like a lot worse than Amma at it, because her range is just so limited. To win a fight with Bellona, it's kind of like you wait for their backliner to use an ability and you ult them so that they can't use their escape. Like the Scylla late game tries to cast her one on you, like, haha, gotcha, better use half your health, and you just like, haha, got you back, and you jump on top of her head and take half her health instantly. And it definitely works. But like, I'd rather be Amma, you know? Like, I don't want to have to rely on one specific scenario where I get a surprise engage on them when they think they're getting a surprise engage on me to win the game. It's just like a lot more linear from Bellona than it is from Amma. But Bellona, being an auto attack warrior, has a lot of potential to carry in the late game. Frostbound's very good on her. And she can do a lot in those solo queue games. But the lack of range really hurts her, and though just overall worse than Amma, hurts a lot too. So she's just a good character. That's fine to play. And I wouldn't consider her incredibly strong by any stretch of the imagination. All right. Chaac. I like this guy. This guy, I think, is actually my most played warrior out of all the 20. I have a lot of experience on the Chaac. And I do think that he, along with Amma, is one of, if not, the best warriors in Joust. In fact, oh, I'm so tempted. I'm going to leave them together for now, and I'm not going to put Chaac above Amma, but we're going to think about this because they are so close, so very close. The thing that makes Chaac insane is Redstone. And not just that. He's already very good. So they've been buffing Chaac, if you guys didn't know. They've been buffing he got his 2 buffed. I think his 1 got buffed a while ago. They buffed his ult damage, I'm pretty sure, at some point, too. Like, he just got a lot of these, like, little number buffs. And I think ever since the 9.5 revert, he's been one of the best. Because the problem I always had with Chaac is he just couldn't kill anyone. But with everyone having less health, less protections, a lot easier for him to kill people. And that redstone, corrupted bluestone, just is so incredibly strong on him. His 2 gives 100 of each protection when fully leveled. So you're getting 200 protections. If you hit 4 minions, you get 25 protections per stack, 2 from a god, 1 from a minion. So you go into a team fight, you blink in, just instantly 2, boom, plus 200 protections. You know? Really, really insane character. I think I feel tankier than Osiris when I play this character, which is actually insane. And then not only that, but Chaac has a little thing I like to call massive AoE slow and attack speed reduction. You chuck his 1, boop. You hit the 3, boop. ADC can't play the game anymore. So you can go chin size late game, chuck your 1, throw your 3, and then just smelt their tanks. Because the ADC ain't walking through that. Let me tell you. So Chaac, in a game mode where everyone wants to play a hunter now on their team comp, is absolutely insane. And also, he can kill that hunter if you need him to. So, provided you're playing your Chaac abilities correctly, using your 2 early in the fight to get your protections up, and your redstone procs, and then using your 1 and 3 to zone people / provide a lot of AoE space control in the fight, there isn't much that can compare to that in the warrior class aside from Gilgamesh ult. That's the closest ability I can think of to Chaac's 3 when his 1 is deployed. So, you're Gilgamesh ulting them when you use your Chaac 1-3. And in some cases, it's better than the Gilgamesh ult. Heck, in a lot of cases, it's better than the Gilgamesh ult. And that's a non-ult ability on a 16-second base cooldown. You build CDR, that's, what's that, 16 times 0.6, 32, 9.2? 9.6? 9.6. 9.6 seconder. It is a channeled ability that lasts for 6 seconds, so you're only activating that like once every 15 seconds, realistically. But that is pretty insane for a non-ult ability, providing a 40% slow and a 25% attack speed reduction. I think it's actually 20%. I'll fact check that right now. Chaac. 25%. Starts at 15, scales to 25. The slow scales from 20 to 40. So, yeah, that's just an incredible tool. He just has, like, everything I want. He doesn't have as potent of an auto attack build because of the nature of his kit. Not as potent as like your Amas, not as potent as your Bellonas, your Osirises of the world. But the fact that he can box you with the 3 makes it so that he does actually do quite well into you. Like, you don't really need Frostbound on him. Like, he's got the built-in Frostbound type of thing. So, yeah, Chaac is just really, really, really good. He can kill all 3 targets. That's, like, one of the big things that I think of when I think of strong strength of any character in Joust. If you can kill all 3 targets, you can kill the Guardian, you can kill the Warrior, you can kill the Mage, you can kill the Hunter, you can kill anyone at any point in the game. Like, you actually can have a positive matchup against every single member, then you are looking good. And Chaac is that guy. He really is. You just have to level his 2 and use his 3 properly, and he just dominates. He really is. The control and team fight is just insane. And he can clear buffs incredibly well too. Because his 1-2 combo is just such insane burst. It actually compares to Ama. With the mirror, she can deal like 400 damage, right? 400 plus damage. Chaac can deal like 500 plus damage if you get the pass through on his 2. So the secure is pretty insane. Really good god. Moving on. Chulainn. So, not an auto attacker. You may have noticed that the best characters are the ones that can go auto attacky and have like a lot of insane buff secure, really strong team fight. Chulainn has some of those. Doesn't have all of them. But in other places, he's actually stronger than some of these characters. But I do prioritize the Ama and Chaac just a little bit higher. But we will slide Chulainn as our first strong warrior. Very strong, if I do say so myself. This guy just has a lot of abilities. A lot of abilities that hit you for 200 each. And if you've played Smite since the 9.5 revert, and you've played against that Kulu guy, you will know how painful it is to try and fight a tank as a carry when he's hitting you for 200 over and over. 200, 200, 200. You know, you're hitting him hard too, but he's just smashing you. Like, and he's got a lot more health. He's got double your health and double your protections. Well, in most cases, more than that. But yeah, very hard to fight this guy, especially in the early stages. That rage form just puts out so much damage. All those little buffs he got pre 9.5 actually put in work for him. The base numbers, the 2 actually hitting harder is very noticeable. That kept buffing his 2, giving him like extra damage, and he moves a little faster than he did before in it. And like, I was like, whatever, we're not going to notice that. But after the 9.5 revert, you really do feel that vent anger damage, bro. That thing hurts. And like, yeah, like I said, he just deals a ton of damage. His early pressure is insane. That's the biggest thing that you can abuse about this guy, is you can just run it down super hard, pressure every buff super hard, just use like your ult to provide extra pressure and just throw your abilities out, get into that rage form and just start ground pounding. And you can just really build a nice, juicy early lead and translate that into a win. In Joust, if you get pressure around like every buff, you win the early game super hard. You can very easily translate that into a win if you know how to play the game mode. The Chulainn is just incredibly good at that. He will get outshined just a little bit by these auto attacker Ama shocker guys, just because they can just do more than him once it gets a little later. And like, Chulainn's not going to be able to play through a shock rain. Like, it's just not happening, you know? And especially if the guy that's behind Chulainn, dealing the bigger damage, is unable to play because of the shock rain. Like, he can't play either, right? So, shock will ruin his day a little bit once it gets to those later stages. But in the early to mid, you can very much bully super hard, and carries cannot stand up to you because they just can't trade into all your damage. And so Chulainn is just a really, really strong character. I've actually seen people saying that he's not that strong and that he needs a buff. And you must just be playing the wrong way on this character, man. Like, this guy is insane. He just does so much damage, bro. All right. Erlang Shen. I want to give Erlang Shen a strong. He's worse than Chulainn. Not by a lot, though. In fact, in more organized gameplay, he's probably a bit better than Chulainn. But as far as, like, carry and rank games goes, they're probably about the same, honestly. Erlang has a ton of CC. So great if you have good comms. But he's pretty all in, right? You got to get pretty close to start smashing with your Erlang abilities. You know, Chulainn just got such AoE space control in comparison. Can hit a lot of people even when they're spacing properly. But Erlang is kind of like the guy that you kind of have to go like blink beads on, or you're just not going to have the same impact as other warriors. He's just very, very committal when he has to go in. So you have to pick your spots very appropriately when you play Erlang, but he can be very, very effective. Like I said, if you do have good coordination, he can set up a lot for your team. Like Erlang is very strong if you pair him with the right stuff. Like you go like Erlang with Ares, for example, and you just have the Erlang set up every Ares chain. Really strong combo, guys. You guaranteed chain somebody. If that guy's a tank that's not named Cabrakan, that guy is going to be in a world of hurt, you know? So, Erlang very strong, and then he does the auto attack thing that Amma and Chaac do later on. His secure is not quite as potent, but he will kill the Bull Demon King very quickly. He can do it on his own. Will smelt down buffs. You can build Mannequin Scepter on him if you want. Axe of Animosity works, of course, as well. And he will do very well. But this character did some good things for me in the solo queue. I think I actually mainly played him duo queue with a mage player. And all the setup I had really helped my mage player. They gave him his knockup back a few patches ago on his turtle form. So just so much CC on this character. Can go a little bit more aggressive too with like stone cutting, rune forged. Will really help your burst. If you build him too tanky, he does feel a little worthless, just slightly worthless. But the main thing is just like you can go whatever build you want and throw a chin size on it, and Erlang will do stuff. And that is the wonderful, beautiful thing about him. If you leave him alone and allow him to play the fight the way he wants, like you cannot ignore this guy. He's not like a Wukong. You can't just let him cast and kill his tanks and be like, oh, well, the Wukong's never killing me because I'm a tanky guy with a lot of magic D, and it doesn't matter if he uses abilities. I don't care. You cannot let Erlang hit you for that long because he's going to have chins and he's going to have his passive, which is like another chins. So he is going to kill you. You cannot leave him alone. And that is one of the scariest things about this character. So, yeah, he can carry, but, you know, a little harder to execute. Does better with the team. And, you know, he just needs more than these other guys can do a lot more on their own. Moving on. Gilgamesh. This is the character I have the most points on out of all the warriors. The most border points. And the best record out of all the warriors. I think I'm 51-0 on him right now. Possible 100-0 video coming to you guys in the next few weeks, few months. You never know. But, yeah, the record does not lie. And when I play him, I feel so strong. The level 3 on this god is the best level 3 out of any of the warriors you're going to play. You build Wing Shard, and his 1, when you activate it, essentially makes your basic attacks deal 50% extra damage. Because your basic attacks will be hitting for 60, and your 1 will be hitting for 30. So if you take a fight level 3, you have Gilg 3 at your advantage, giving your team and you a big buff. You've got Gilg Kick, insane CC, stopping people from dealing damage, and you can kick people into each other, so you can stop multiple people from dealing damage. And I'm pretty sure Gilgamesh is bugged right now, and he's been bugged for a while, and I'm pretty sure nobody really knows that if you kick somebody into someone else, I am fairly certain it's a 1.5 second stun and not a 1.2 second stun. So he can lock you down for quite a while from an early stage. And boy, oh boy, is he strong, and I'm having a hard time placing him here, because I know he is insane. I'm just going to make him the best. Gilgamesh is my favorite warrior to play right now, I think. These 3 are easily my favorite 3 warriors to play in ranked chess. They're just so strong, and Gilg over the other 2 just has the best early game. His kill potential is just insane early on, and if you guys haven't seen the things that he can do with his ult, the wall lock, when you kick someone to a wall, throw the ult up, and only like 5% of the ult is actually touching them, and the rest of it is inside the wall, and you're just knocking them back over and over into the wall. They literally cannot escape that if you do it properly, because they're just getting knocked up, knocked up, knocked up. Unless they have beads, it is actually impossible to get out of that if the Gilgamesh has it set up properly. You'll just keep getting bounced against the wall. Bounced and bounced. And if you've never seen it, you haven't lived. But Gilgamesh, just insane character. Like I said, insane level 3, and his late game is crazy. You have to get Corrupted Bluestone on this character. You have to. Because it just is such an insane spike to his game. I felt like so, like, meh pre-level 20. And the second you hit level 20, it's like a switch flips, bro. That Corrupted Bluestone just pops off and you just start owning everyone. It is crazy how good he is. And then you can get chin size, 5th or 6th item, and kill any target. Similar to Amma, similar to Chaac, similar to Erlang. Where you just can't ignore him. And his CC is just so prevalent. His team fight is so insane. He's been getting a couple buffs recently. Has his 90-second ult back, which is nice. So Gilgamesh is just really, really crazy good. Really, really crazy good. Guan Yu. I like Guan Yu. I like him a lot. I actually haven't played him as much recently because I got him Masters Border early on in the series. And he felt very strong when I'd played him. But I am hesitant to put him in the strong category. I think he's better than these two. But how much better is the question. He's definitely underplayed, this guy. I think Guan is solid. He's definitely solid. So I'm just going to put him in. He's fine. He's fine. He's fine. He's a fine god. This god actually has a very good matchup into Kulu. One of the most popular gods in the game right now. Because he's just so obscenely broken. Because he uses Shield of the Phoenix and Curse Weaver so insanely well. He just does too much, Kulu. But Guan Yu actually has a very decent matchup into him. Because all the poke Kulu has, Guan Yu can actually kind of shrug off for your team. As well as he can just like walk up to him and hit him with a Guan horse stun. And then, you know, the Kulu's, you know, unless he built beads, might be just be getting shredded down and dying before he gets to play the game. So Guan Yu actually has very good play into the squid monster. Because he can heal off his poke. And he can provide the CC and shred to allow you to kill him very easily. For the same reason, I think he's actually good into gods like Achilles. Like, poke characters really struggle against Guan. Because you can build Caduceus Club on this dude. The item that increases your healing output. And you get your Guan passive and you go, I will not let you fall. Plus 265 to every single teammate. And then his ult, of course, very, very low cooldown if you abuse his passive correctly. You can get that Guan horse up before your Pridwin shield even comes back up. If you execute it properly, just healing off cooldown. So low cooldown ultimates are always very, very prevalent in Joust. And Gilgamesh, or not Gilgamesh, Guan Yu is one of those characters that has that. You just cooldown abuse on him. You don't do like Redstone. You don't do Chins. You could do Redstone, but Axe is just a little bit better, in my opinion. But Guan Yu is a very good god. Good healing. He's not going to carry the game as hard, especially alone, as these other guys are. But the pressure he's able to output through the constant horses and the healing, sustaining you through fights, very, 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 very good against particular compositions that are looking to, you know, like poke you, play the war of attrition with you. You can really adopt gameplay style where you just hit them and then you back off, and hit them and you back off with Guan Yu, just because he's just so good at that gameplay style. You can just use his ult for fun, get more poke with that, run away, reset, heal, heal, heal. Poke them, heal, heal, heal. And it's just very, very hard for all-in comps to get the upper hand on you, like the Kulu I was talking about, because that guy's just trying to ult you and just destroy you, right? So if you can just like never actually give him that opportunity with Guan Yu, because you just ult him and then you poke him and then he dies or he doesn't die and you back off and you heal up. You never give him that all-in Kulu ult. And if he does go for it, then you just back off and you heal. So like he's very, very good in the right scenarios, kind of like some of these other warriors, as we'll find. But yeah, that's Guan Yu. Moving on, we got our good friend Hercules. Hercules. Where do we put you? This god is quite good. Quite good. I'm going to put him here. He's strong. Strong character. Not as strong as these other two. So I actually am tempted to put him down with Guan. But the burst damage from Hercules is pretty crazy. The 9.5 revert definitely favored this god a lot. Kind of like Chulainn, where it's just like they just hit you, and the things they hit you with hit really hard. And it matters a lot more when your health is lower and your protections are lower. And he, similar to Chulainn, has a passive that gives him power. So he just hits you with like a 800 damage rock late game on a 42-second cooldown, and you're like, man, that was not fun. Like, this god is very good early game because he's got just more power than you, and he's tankier than you, and he's getting attack speed from his 3, and he's got a hard CC that makes it so you can't hit him, and he can, and it's an instant hard CC, so it's kind of hard to react to unless you see it coming. And then he's always got the pluck into tower, the classic that you have to watch out for. Like, he's very, very, very good early, and then late game, he just blinks your carry, hits him with the 1, and rocks him. And then boom, there goes 60% of their health, and it's already very hard for them to fight back. And it feels bad to Beads or Aegis if a Hercules is just the only thing he did is blink one you, you know? He just blink ones you, and then he's going to rock you after. The blink one is fairly unreactable, so you're not going to pre-Aegis that. And so if you want to avoid the 700 damage rock that's about to hit you in the head, then you're going to have to Beads and Aegis for that, because that driving strike stun is a little bit too long for you to Aegis after when he throws the rock. So it can be very, very tricky playing against a good Hercules player that's just running at your damage dealer. And it makes him quite good, because he does have that 90-second scaling down to 70-second ultimate. As you were talking about, those low cooldown ultimates are very dangerous, like the Guan Yu. And Hercules can do the same thing. The only thing is his range is a little limited, so you can control him a little bit easier, and he can't go auto attack as easily as the best in class category guys can. So he'll be a little bit worse than them, and if he has to go up and fight one of them, he's not gonna have a good time in the mid to late. In the early, he might actually beat. He's gonna beat like Ama. He could beat Chaac. He's gonna have a tough time against Gil. Gil will kill Hercules early game in a 1v1. You gotta watch out for that. Wing Shard Gilgamesh, guys, is no joke. That guy hurts so much. There's a reason why he's the king of Aruk and at the top of this list. Let me tell you. But yeah, Hercules is very, very good. Very good. Very strong. And you can do a lot with him if you can pilot him correctly. The blink trick, yeah, you can't do that blink trick with the Herc 2 blink away and won them super far. But I don't think that's something we're going to be talking about for general strength of the Hercules character. Horus. All right, Horus. Horus is a weird one. Because he's like one of those warriors where it's like, you're more of a support than a warrior. But at the same time, like, if you do get on a carry that doesn't have Beads Aegis, you can very much kill them. Because going back to the 9.5 revert thing, Horus Prot Shred actually allows him to deal insane damage to you. And, like, I've seen this god early on in the game. Like, we're talking level 3 fight. You 2 somebody, you knock them up. Doesn't matter if it's a guardian or a carry. When you hit them with the gust, that thing is hitting it for 120 level 3. Horus hurts, dude. You cannot underestimate his early. You can play double warrior with this god and profit. Like, if you go double runeforged, Horus and like Mulan, for example, and you get both types of runeforged, you get flameforged, and you just have one guy stay normal runeforged, those runeforged damage percentage increases actually stack. So you can be dealing 30% extra damage and have a Scylla in the back. Throwing Rush! She's got one item. That thing will hit you for 500. So you gotta watch out. Horus comps are something that are very criminally underplayed. I think a double warrior combo that's severely underutilized right now is Horus with Shiva, because they both do like the same thing. They both reduce your protections while they're hard CCing you, and so they can not only do it at the same time and really destroy you, but they can build that rune forge, that double rune forge combo, throw a mage in the back, and your life is just ruined as anyone. It doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter how tanky you build, you are going to die if you get hit by that combo. So, yeah, pretty crazy. Unfortunately, you need a lot of coordination to make this god feel good. And I did a lot of solo and duo, mainly duo queue with this god. And he felt good at times, not as great at other times. And I'm struggling. I think he's either like bottom of strong or top of fine. And I think I'm gonna have to put him top of fine for now. I do think if you do really play into just building comps that make Horus look strong, you can do a lot. But if you're like, lower on the coordination side and they're picking stuff like Sobek into you, Vulcan like stuff that just interrupts your Horus combo, it just feels so bad, dude. Feels so bad. You do have the option to do very cool things with the Horus ult, which is something that also gives him a leg up. You can ult your minions into your blue buff pit, into your speed buff pit, and hide them from the enemies, and then use them later. You can, or to, keep them away from XP and gold. You throw a Ymir on top of that. You can have a Ymir group up the whole wave, and you can teleport the whole wave, and the enemy will never see it, type of thing. You can throw your wave into their tower when they're least expecting it. Something I really like to do with Horus is, like when you, let's say you just won a fight, but you didn't like super win the fight, like you just forced them to back. You can Horus ult your wave from, your tower to their tower, and all of a sudden they backed, and you get their tower. So you can do some really cool things with this character, and he's very fun and very promising. But realistically, you don't have a really good squad backing you up, he's going to be a little bit worthless. And for that reason, we're going to put him a little lower than these other characters. Because typically when you're playing a warrior, you're looking more for, raiding a lot of space on your own, doing a lot of things, soloing people, like all that fun, good stuff. And Horus he's more of a support than anything, so I'm going to put him in the fine category from a warrior point of view. Arthur! Arthur. Arthur is actually a decent character. That's been nerfed a lot of times. I think he's kind of fine. I want to say he's fine. I'm so tempted to put him in for fun. I feel like if I don't put him in for fun now, then we're not going to really have any characters that are going to go in that category. But I'll put him in fine for now. I think he's decent. You think I should put him in for fun? You think so? Well, okay. We'll hover him there for now, and then we'll think about it later. He's a very fun character. I will say that. The thing about Arthur is they nerfed his 1 and his 3 cooldowns by 2 seconds a pop. And on the 3, I believe, they were both supposed to scale from 16 down to 14 instead of being 14 base. I'm pretty sure is what the numbers were. But for whatever reason, I'm pretty sure his 3 actually got extra nerfed when the patch actually dropped. And it's 16 seconds at all ranks instead of 16 scaling to 14. So his cooldowns are significantly longer. I do believe you can still do the thing where you pop thorns and the thorns explosion will give you energy. So that is a bug. But I'm pretty sure you can still do that. And that makes Arthur a lot stronger because you can use your big ult, come down, pop thorns, and then you can use your big ult again. So that's very good. And Arthur is very good at chewing through team compositions that go too tanky. So if you play against a Thoth, an Achilles, and a Kuzenbo together, you are going to absolutely decimate them. Because they're not going to be able to kill you fast enough. And you're just going to wiggle around with your Shield of the Phoenix. And you're just going to big ult them all and eventually just win. Arthur is one of those ability warriors that actually feels like his ability damage gets better as the game progresses versus like Chulainn. I'm gonna feel a lot stronger early on, but then later on I really feel my abilities starting to drop off, particularly against the tanks. Arthur doesn't have that problem because of his big ult. It just does so much damage to anyone. And so, he can be effective provided he gets the right scenario. So, for the most part, he is more of a for fun guy. But like I said, if the opponents pick too tanky, you can light him up with this Arthur guy. He really struggles against the higher DPS fellows, though, because they kill him a little bit too quickly, and it kind of sucks. but yeah, we love Arthur. Fun guy. Moving on. Mulan. Oh. Mulan, dude. This character really has fallen from grace. I actually, at one point, was going for top Mulan. I was tied with the guy who was number 1 Mulan. I probably needed like 1 game, maybe 2 games to get it. And then I lost. And then I stopped playing Mulan that much. Or as much. And then she got nerfed. A lot. Multiple times. And she's getting nerfed again. On September 19th. I don't know if you guys, if this video will come out by then, but yeah, Mulan is getting nerfed more. And I just, I'm just not loving her in Joust these days. I have played her a little bit recently, in the past month, and she just doesn't feel the same. Really doesn't. I think it's a combination of the other characters that I've been playing like feel better, and just all the nerfs are adding up for sure. But she's one of those characters where like, when you pull him, you really got to do something to him. Kind of like when you Naja Sash in, you really got to do something to him, or they're going to do something back to you. And with all the number adjustments she's gotten, especially in Joust where there are 3 people hitting you, very, very, very tough to deal with. If you have a pull that ends up not being as good as you wanted it to be, But I think she's still like decent. She's definitely a fine character. She's definitely hasn't entered the for fun category yet. And I'm going to put her alongside maybe Horus here. He's pretty good. Pretty good, dude. It's very arguable that she should still be in the strong category. But I have found her to be just a bit weaker. Quite a bit weaker than she was previously. Otherwise, she would be up here with the best for all of her nerfs. But yeah. Nike! Nike. Is Nike a for fun character? Probably not. I'm going to put her bottom of fine. They gave this character a 70-second ult in the last patch. They also buffed Sunder in the last patch. So perhaps a preemptive buff to make sure Sunder didn't absolutely destroy Nike. This character I liked for a bit, then I started not liking her as much, and then I started liking her again once I started building Mystical Mail. Mystical Mail has been the secret to bringing my my liking for Nike around. As she just doesn't really seem like she doesn't have damage. Unless you have Mystical. So I found that playing Nike a little squishier with like Mystical Relic Dagger, Flame Blinking off cooldown, and just playing around your natural safety with your big shield, and then having your jump still since you blinked in, helps a lot on this character. Going Corrupted Bluestone, so you can kill ADCs, kill carries. She's a decent anti-ADC character, but the fact that you use your 1, you have to channel your 1 for so long makes it a little tougher, because like say you're going up against an On Her, which is one of Nike's nicer matchups because she's got the knock immunities and whatnot, right? You won him. If he summons his pillar and he's autoing you the whole time when you're winning him, he's gonna lose like a quarter of his health, and you're gonna lose half your health. So that's not very fun. And then if you use your 2 to block his autos, you're blocking his autos, sure. But you're not hitting him either. So, like, it gets a little tricky. Versus, like, Bellona, if I 3 him and then I'm 1 into him and I start beating him down, like, he's getting smelted while not being able to hit me, right? So, it can be a little tricky with the Nike, trying to find that balance point between dealing enough damage and being as tanky as you need to be. It also kind of sucks that Pridwin doesn't work on her, because something with the shields proccing simultaneously on her ult and Pridwin makes it so that Pridwin literally does not work the shield. The explosive Pridwin actually works, but only the first part, because you explode and it is not tied to the shield part of the item. So you could buy explosive Pridwin, and only value you get is the protections, cooldown, and the first explosion. It could happen. I see way too many Nikes and Horuses building Pridwins, bro. The item does not work, guys. So, yeah, Nike is she's just alright. She's alright. Good early game damage, decent late, but she's just not doing as much as her stronger counterparts, even with the 70-second ult. Though she is good. She's fine, like I said, and that's why she's in the fine category. Odin. Odin. Here's a character that goes from for fun to strong, depending on when and where you pick him. He is actually getting buffed in a couple days, and I think I'm going to put him top of fine. He's a very tricky character, this guy, because he can be very meh when they have Scylla, Sun Wukong, and Fafnir. Or he can be very strong when they have Terra, Vulcan, and Pele. It all depends on how hard you can screw them with the cage. If you can't screw him with the cage, then he sucks. If you can, then he's great. And so he's just such a conditional character. Like Breezy said, it's very situational. Yeah, if they don't have good escapes. And so, like, when I was doing the Odin Masters Border grind, it was actually quite difficult. Because as a capped MMR player, usually I'm the first one picking on my team. So I'm only counter picking like one person because I'm usually second pick. And so I'm counter picking the first thing the other guy picked. So unless they pick something that Odin does really well into, I'm kind of just picking Odin for fun. For fun. But if I'm picking Odin, like I said, into like Medusa and freaking Hebo, like Odin's feeling really good there, So he's just such a situational character. So overall, I'd just say he's fine. He's fine. Like, he does good damage. You can pick him in most matches and be okay. Yeah, but even with like the buffs he's getting his ult or his jump scales from 14 to 12 instead of 16 to 12, and his 3 does 5 extra damage on Gungnir pulses, so 10 extra since Gungnir pulses twice. I think he's still just the same, kind of, but we'll feel a little nicer with the lower jump cooldown earlier on. His 3 does a lot of damage, is the big thing about him. Great Runeforged character. Mystical Male brought a lot of new life to me when I was playing Odin. I did the same thing as Nike, where I did the blink, fire blink, mystical, relic dagger thing. Just built a little squishier, and it's really relied on my cooldowns to escape, and just like blink in, jump out type of thing with the Odin. Use the 3 and the 2 for damage / survivability until I need to jump. And of course, you get more cages if you're blinking. You just go like heavy cooldown with like mystical and Genjis and stuff. Genji's Relic Dagger, Corrupted Bluestone. You're a little on the switchier side, but you use the character's natural safety to get out of sticky situations. So yeah, Odin's just a good character. He's fine. Osiris. Historically, probably my most decorated and successful pick in ranked joust. I think my main is 70-0 on Osiris in ranked joust. Many times the best warrior. Many times. But in today's day and age, he is the top of strong. He has fallen a little bit out of favor. for me. Those other three are they're just too good. They really are. Osiris is very strong, don't get me wrong. And that's why he's in the strong category. But he is not as good as them. He is not. He doesn't have the natural sustain, doesn't have the CC, less subjective pressure. He gives all of that up so that he can be a little bit tankier and heavy poke. Those are his bread and butter. Poke, 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 poke. They pick Hou Yi, they pick on her characters that have minimal range and are looking to shred somebody. Osiris is very good at avoiding getting shredded and poking those low ranger characters that can't kill him very easily. Because he gets very fast, he locks you down very well, and he pokes you over and over and over and over again. And so a lot of different matchups, he just screws you as a backliner. Like you're a squishier guy like a mage, you're like an Eset, you're like a Kronos, you're like an Op Pwash, you're a Zeus. You probably aren't playing many of those characters, but you're an Agni, you're a you're a Anubis, you're a Hera, you're a lot of different things. You're playing an assassin, you're playing Kama, you're playing Baka. He's walking up to you, he's frostbounding you, he's taking half your health and walking away, and you can't hit him back. That is what makes Osiris good. He becomes real annoying for you real fast if you're a squishy character that doesn't have a lot of range. Heck, even if you are a squishy character with a lot of range, he can still get you most of the time with his 2s and sometimes 1s. And it really, really hurts. So Osiris, very strong character, but very minimal CC, right? And doesn't translate into the auto attack as well as these guys that are above him. Heck, he doesn't translate into it as well as Erlang does. But yeah, that poke is always relevant. 70-second ult, always relevant. So he's always a strong character. But I just don't think he's the best right now. I don't think he's top 3. He's almost there. Almost there. But these other guys are just so strong. They're just so good. And for that reason, he's just top strong. Really good character, but not as good. Shiva. Very easy strong. Very easy. He's with Chulainn. He's with him. He's right with him. Probably just under him, because he just has less abilities. But I think if Shiva, if his 3 was not an 18-second cooldown, this god would be like absolutely criminally strong. Or if he, imagine we gave Shiva 18 scaling down to 16 on his 3 and a 70-second ult. That would make this character pop. That would be crazy. And I could actually see that happening. Because I very much doubt this guy is dominating in the conquest queues. And his ult is like so terribly bad late game. Or like living while also casting your ult. Because you're just like, you basically just lock yourself in, that ult for 6 seconds. It's just like criminally awful. Like, I've wanted to get some mitigation back for some time. Like, heck, give me like 15% mits on the Shiva ult. Like, that'd be fine. If they did that or they gave him the 70-second ult, I think this character would feel a lot better. But his cooldown on his 3 is just a little long. And his ult just feels a little too vulnerable late game. Be as good as Chulainn. But he is still very, very strong. I mean, he's placed quite highly on this list. Because he's just such a terror in the early game particularly. And getting that pressure rolling early on in the game is so good. Like, you can blink on the first wave as Shiva and pull, 1-2 members and the wave. And then you use your 2 and then, you basically have just full cleared and poked 1-2 members of the enemy team. So very, very, very strong combo while double knocking them up while you're doing that, right? So, like, he can provide so much pressure if you are able to execute the character properly. And he has that natural safety, right? With the double dash and the long duration CC immune ultimate. He can do a whole lot for your team quite safely. He's probably not going to solo carry the team, which is something, that some of these characters above him can definitely do, particularly these guys. That's why they're there. But he can provide so much pressure. And if you have your lowest MMR team member is, he's a warrior guy, you want him to play this god. This god is impossibly easy. You cannot screw him up. If you find yourself as the lowest MMR member in a big boy lobby and you're like, oh, I'm so scared, what do I play? And they put you on a tank, play this guy. Play this guy. I've seen this guy get banned in future games against higher MMR lobbies, and they're banning him from my random last game that had 2k MMR. So, yeah, the purple guy with a lot of arms and limbs and whatnot is very good. Very good, very easy. If you don't play him already, you should. Sun Wukong. We have arrived at another fine character, guys. It does seem that we're fleshing out the fine category quite swimmingly here. I think Wukong, he's just good. He's fine. He's like your average run-of-the-mill ability warrior. The difference is he's going to live almost every scenario. He does decent damage. Very, very safe. Really good at diving characters that are similarly safe. Like Scylla. Very, very good against Scylla. It's one of my favorite Scylla matchups because Scylla's one roots before it cripples. So if you ox at a Scylla as Sun Wukong, you know, the root immune ability, and she uses her one on you, it's going to root you first, what you're immune to. And since you have gotten past the root, it doesn't cripple you. So you can ox straight through a Scylla and run into her and deal a bunch of damage as a Sun Wukong. You do that and you go Corrupted Bluestone, and all of a sudden you're taking half her health with two abilities because of the Corrupted Bluestone damage, right? And you can reach her from very far away because you're, you know, Wukong 1. Very, very good matchup there. And then he's also just, in general, against any character, just a very safe diver because of his ultimate and his 3. Just give him so much. And then we're not even talking about his 2, which is just Midgardian in an ability that deals damage, of course. It's the ability that deals damage. 30% slow for 3 seconds. That lowers your attack speed by 30%. He has Midgardian in his kit. Very good. So, you know, he's decent against ADCs. And he's just very, very safe diver. Beautiful. Like, you put Wukong in tandem with another diver, and then all of a sudden you're looking at a very terrifying composition for the enemy backliners to deal with. But the fact that he doesn't, he's really tied to the cooldowns, right? Not as much as like a lot of these other guys have either lower cooldowns, more access to more cooldowns more often, or they just have the auto attack pressure. Like, he just can't do it as often as I would otherwise want him to. So Wukong is just kind of in the fine category. In fact, I think I'm going to move him up a little bit here. I'll put him above Mulan. No, I'll put him top of fine, actually. I think he's a very, very fine character. Please, let me go. All right, yeah, nice. He's good. Good damage. Just super cooldown, reliant on his cooldowns are relatively longer. You know, it just takes him a while to ramp up. He's one of those characters where you can go Runeforged very safely, though. Unlike, for example, like Mulan, for example. I can't go Runeforged every game on Mulan, at least early in my build, just because she's a little bit easier to collapse on. Like Wukong, I'm going Runeforged, Bluestone, Beads every single game at the start of my build. and I'm good, you know? His Wukong passive is just so strong, too, for surviving and dealing more damage. They're really, really, really strong early. All right, moving on. Surtr. Fire Giant. Fire Giant is fine. He's just fine. He's very similar to Wukong, actually. They're like the same but different. They're side grade characters. Wukong, I find him in a similar vein. All 3 of these characters, Wukong, Herc, and Surtr. They've all got some really nice single target stuns. Surtr actually has a long range single target stun on a non-ult ability. How many other warriors have that? Long range single target stun. Odin? Is that it? I think that might be it. Long range single target stun non-ult. Horus 2 is maybe the closest after that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just Surtr and Odin. They just chuck a fat one. Takes a little longer for Odin to ramp his up too. Gilg? Well, that's a multi-target stun. Multi-target conditional stun. That I very much wouldn't say that that's long range most of the time, at least. Like, you have to kick someone into someone else for that one, right? But I mean, technically you're right. But I think Surtr is kind of like, oh, Mulan, I guess, is technically a stun, right? That's long range. They're probably just Mulan, Odin, and Surtr. And Surtr's is probably the easiest out of all three, right? Odin's takes a little bit to ramp up. Mulan's pulls them towards you, so you could put yourself in a bad position. But like Surtr is just, he's like, he's like a. If it wasn't so buggy and got caught around walls really easy, it'd be a lot nicer. Gets caught around walls particularly easy when you're picking up a minion and throwing them at people, right? If you can learn to master the Surtr too, he can have a very, very strong impact with that stun. Because that stun can set up a lot, right? It's very hard to react to that stun. He just, like, he picks it up and he tosses at you from, halfway across the freaking lane. Like, it's hard to see it coming. He doesn't have as much of a windup as the others. Like, Gale, you can see him loading up the kick. Mulan, you see her, like, kneeling down, getting ready to fire. Odin has to take a long time. But Surtr's is pretty quick. You just, like, just a point and click. And so that's, like, one of the strongest parts about him. And then he has the infinite scaling on his one, right? 10-second base cooldown once you reach max rank on the Surtr one. And that sucker can stack up 999 extra damage. Realistically, you're going to probably have, like, anywhere from 200 plus once you get into those later portions of the game. And you can, like, double up on those, because when you activate the Surtr one, it immediately goes on cooldown. So you can activate his one, lasts for 5 seconds. You swing, blink in as you swing. Your one is now on, like, a 7-second cooldown by that point, maybe 6. Heck, it could be lower, depending on how much cooldown you built. So maybe we're looking at a 4-second cooldown on your one. You have Sekhmet's Scepter, you have Genji's Guard, like either one of those. Your one is going to be coming up, like, immediately. So you can, like, double one a carry, and a double one on a carry is enough to take at least, like 70% of their health with late game Surtr. And that's not even taking into account any of your other abilities. So you go, like, blink beads on this character, and you can very easily kill a backliner later on. Yeah, it is very tied to your blink, though, and he's not exactly the fastest pace character, so you can react to the Surtr pretty decently well. But you gotta be wary of what this character is able to bring. I'm actually tentatively talking myself into bringing him up into the strong category, because I do think that his damage is very relevant, and in a lot of cases quite a bit better than some of his counterparts in this tier. But I think I'm going to leave him here for now. I could definitely see moving him up into the Herc realm, because he does do kind of a similar thing late game, where he can just burst your carry really fast, and it's relatively unreactable, because it's just like he blink ones you and then he twos you, right? And, like, really annoying to try and have to give up relics on that. And then if you try to escape, he's got the ult, right? His ult is not the greatest chase down tool, but and it's more than what Hercules has, like Hercules is just gonna blink you, one you, rock you, and then boom, you're done for. Like, you just run away, but it's gonna be hard for him to chase that down. Surtr might actually chase that down. So yeah, Surtr's another character that is pretty good at killing those safer characters. Like the Scylla that I was talking about. He can chase her, for sure. Yeah, we'll leave him in the top fine. I would not be opposed to putting him bottom of strong. Tier! Tier. I want to say this character is fine. I really do. I really do. Like, I have fun playing Tier. But I should probably put him in for fun. Yeah, I should. I like this character a lot. He's very fun. As for his like actual strength in the game mode though, he might not be the best. You know. In fact, guys, I'm gonna get rid of the worst category because I really just don't see anyone going in there. It's gone. We got best, strong, fine, and for fun. There are no warriors that are bad enough to the point where you can't pick them. That's what I'm gonna say here. There are definitely warriors where you'll pick them, and later in the game regret picking them and wish you were Osiris, or one of those other guys. But there's no warrior that's just that bad. There really isn't. So yeah. Tyr is he's just relatively single target, not a ton of DPS spread. You're never really getting top damage with Tyr unless, the other guys are really, really bad. But he can control very well depending on what he's against. He's decent against like stuff like Ymir, because he can avoid the really long stuns. He's good against like the Cerberuses of the world, gets the winged blade and can take him out of the Cerb 2 type of thing, can displace him a lot, has the knock immunities to avoid a lot of the Cerb CC. So he's pretty good against some of these more meta characters. You pretty much have to ban Ares if you're going to play Tyr. It's relatively impossible to play that matchup. I played it before, and I did go 8-1 that game, and we won, but it was not fun. Let me tell you. The Ares chain is just so impossibly annoying to deal with. You can do things, He's not bad, and he's got a 70-second ult again, so he can definitely bring a lot to the table in very specific scenarios. He's infamously good into Fafnir, actually. Is a matchup that Tyr is very strong in because he can't get locked down for very long. And the Fafnir transform is very easy to punish with the Tyr Fearless, right? So you can lock him down pretty well and put the Fafnir in a really uncomfortable position for this character. But his like really good matchups are few and far between. So it's kind of tricky to find the right spot to play a Tyr. Probably not the worst like last pick, but you need like so much on the rest of your draft to compensate your like lack of damage, because you're very like blink reliant / stun on your ult reliant to play this character, and can definitely make it work. It can be quite tricky. The ad column, dude. Do you guys like the ad column on Twitch? I actually don't mind it at all. I prefer it to like the actual ads, so I don't mind it. Oh wait, ads. You guys are talking about something else. That's awkward. All right. We will not be adding the worst column back, guys. Vamana is our last warrior. Just about over an hour video on this sucker. I've spent a long time talking about 20 warriors, haven't I? And that's like 5 minutes a warrior. That's pretty crazy. So you guys might think that Vamana is like the worst warrior in the game. And honestly, I thought Vamana was going to be the worst warrior. I really did. I thought he was going to suck. Like a lot. But he's actually kind of good. I would put him top of fine. I really would. I'll actually show you the Vamana record. Here, take a look at this. Vamana. We're 32-1, 1750. And I'm fairly certain at least half of those were the solo queue games. Oh, maybe not, actually. They're probably mostly duo queue, actually. But there were a good number of solo queue games, particularly towards the end, I want to say. I know I was playing with Taco. You know what? It's doomed. They were mostly duo queue. But there were some solo queuers in there, for sure. I remember some more intense ones from the Vamana Masters grind. I did save him for like the last 5. And I was like terrified that he was just going to be so bad because my ult would be down and then I just instantly lose the game because Vamana's just so ult based. But the buffs they gave him actually feel kind of good. 16 to 14 second cooldown on his 1. His 3 moves faster, which actually makes it really good. Like, you can actually use Vamana 3 as a max range poking tool and reliably hit it. Like, that's how fast it moves. And then they buffed his ult, right? The shield's a little bigger. And they buffed something else about the ult, didn't they? Maybe it's just the shield. But the Vamana ult feels very impactful. I did find that Frostbound is what I want over Fatalis, unless the matchup like really, really calls for the Fatalis. Like, say they went like Vulcan and they went triple sprint. Like, I would probably go Fatalis there. But the stats on Frostbound are just, they're just better. They really are. It's a better item and it's cheaper. 2250 versus 2600. So, you know, you're kind of driving yourself up the wall to grab that Fatalis in the first place. You do get the movement speed in the pen and the attack speed, of course. But the Frostbound, you get the power. HP 5 is a big one. The MP5 and the health, of course. And the AoE slow, so you can affect multiple targets. Apply like some extra CC. Can be very, very useful on the Vamana. It just gets a little tricky when they buy sprints, and if you're like the only one creating space on the team, because if you're the only one that's really like making a big mark on starting the engagement, and they just go multiple sprints, you're never going to really find impactful enough of a Vamana ult. Like, you need somebody else to be doing things, and I think that's the biggest problem with the Vamana, and the problem I thought I was going to have. And the problem I thought was going to be more of an issue when I played him. But he's just so good at winning in the ult. When you catch him in the right spot, he's so good at winning in that ult. And then beyond that, actually, a piece of the puzzle that I found that really made the Vamana feel better was going Eye of the Jungle. Eye of the Jungle, level the 3, and just like burst buffs with your 3 and your 2. Especially when your ult's down, you just play like a slimy little rat and you just run around and just try and secure every buff really fast, like every purple, every red type of thing. And, you know, it'd be quite effective when you can just insta-burst a buff for 600, 700 of its HP with your 3-2 combo and a couple autos, right? And then once you get level 20, you can buy Seer of the Jungle, clear up all their wards using your Seer passive, and then solo the Bull Demon King while the rest of your team does whatever the heck they want and just, you know, keeps them out. So I did find the Vamana to be much more effective than I thought he was going to be. As you can go like other team stuff like Shoguns, Berserkers is just incredibly strong. And it just felt better than I expected it to. I don't. You guys have to play Vamana to really understand what I'm getting at here. Like, you guys that are saying like Vamana's terrible and all that. Like, I thought he was gonna be too, guys, but then I played him, and he actually feels pretty good. I went like Eye of the Jungle, Berserkers, Shoguns / Talisman, Frostbound, Mantle, Chin Size. That was the build in general. Like, just like a pretty standard auto attack warrior build when you're looking to stick mainly to the auto attacks. And then sometimes I would throw a breastplate in there depending on their composition. It is nice to really have the Vamana ult as often as possible. So, yeah! Well, that's gonna do it for our final list on the Warriors, guys. I don't think I'm moving anyone anywhere. I'm tempted to move Chaac up above Amma, but I really do think that Amma, if moved at all, would be to the left, not to the right. It's just, Amma's more of a comp character than anything. In ranked, Gilg and Chaac are going to be way better. Way better. But, especially in like solo queue, duo queue, right? But Amma, full comms, super tryhard, everyone's, you know, locked in, doing their best. Like, you know, when we're playing the off-stream tournament games type of thing, Amma is going to be probably my highest priority, or would probably. But from a ranked POV, yeah, Chaac and Gilg are, they're just them dudes. They really are. This is a pretty good list, I think. I'm feeling good about it. Let me know what you guys think. If you perceive any of the Warriors to be in a different position, maybe a radically different position from where I have ranked them here. I am fairly confident with this list. Might be able to like reorder like some of these fine characters, but I don't think I care enough to do so. Like, we could probably move Achilles up out of the like very bottom of the pack, like throw him like, you know, like here, like above Odin. I'd be cool with that. I'd be cool to put Horus above Mulan. I think Guan Yu's better than, you know what? We are kind of just reordering them here, aren't we? But yeah, I think this list is pretty solid. I'm feeling pretty good about it. And that has been it. And that has been our kind of like celebratory, every single warrior is now a Master's Border tier list video. So you guys have all my thoughts on where I believe all these wonderful purple bordered characters are at in the meta, or particularly in ranked. But I have put some thought into, you know, where they rely comp-wise. Comp being competitive. Like if we were playing like highest tier possible joust, I would probably be picking in a similar fashion to what you see here. Those guys would probably be my priority. Yeah. Looking at it again, I'm very confident that is probably what I would be doing, unless I very much saw like particular matchups where X God or Y God was better. Like Guan Yu might have, you know, a stronger place against like that Kulu matchup I was talking about. Odin, if they pick like Medusa and someone else that gets locked in the cage, you know, that type of thing. But other than that, you guys are looking to do as well as possible on your warriors. This is a pretty solid list for how you might want to prioritize when and where you pick these guys, and just, you know, pick whichever ones that you're the most comfortable with. Of course, comfort is going to trump everything else. Like if you're like, oh wow, I think Gilg's cool and I think Alma's cool, but like Chaac is just like just my guy. Like, that's your guy, bro. Play Chaac. And the nicest thing is these warriors rarely get banned. Everybody wants to play a guardian, guys. I don't know how else to describe it. There's some guardian addicts out there. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this warrior tier list. Got a lot of good information out of it. If you have any questions, drop them down below. I'll be more than happy to answer them. And yeah, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I'll see ya in the next one.